Hey. Okay, I think can you hear? Thanks. Okay, thanks for the music for the warming up, Mr. Luo Hao. So let me see. I think like almost everyone from our CMA program and some of the faculties also here for today's talk. So it's our honor to have Mr. Luo Hao from Pinta Studio for giving us a talk today. So the first of all, I will give a short introduction, and then Mr. Luo Hao will give us about like a 40 to 50 minutes talk. Mr. Luo Hao is a visual effect producer, visual effect and technical supervisor at Pinta Studio, where he covers production for films, animated virtual reality, and augmented reality, as well as conventional CGI projects. He also has research and development responsibility for pipeline, tools, interactive, and engine development. He studied art, animation, computer graphics, and programming in the visualization lab at Texas A&M University. Hao has multi-dimensional professional background on Hollywood animation features, video games, XR experience, and episodic animated shows. His career spanned across Blue Sky Studios, Electronic Arts. He is technical director of Academy Award, Golden Globe, and Annie Award-nominated animation Ferdinand and the Ice Age, as well as technical artist of AAA game titles such as NBA Live and Madden NFL. Hao is also the CG and the production supervisor of Venice Biennale-nominated VR short Shannon, Taste of Illusion, and the Tribeca, the nominated VR AR interactive animation Elno. So let's welcome our today's guest, Mr. Luo Hao, for giving us talk. Thank you.
Okay. Can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, I'll just get started. Thanks, Jake, for such a wonderful introduction. And so today I'm gonna take you guys to a journey into DIGI-REALITY, the marriage of art and science, and especially the featured adventure of across the industry. So later on, I'll take you to, I'll go through with a project and kind of take a deep dive of what we are doing and what it takes to do such a cross fields projects. So let's get started. So before, so each time before I give a presentation, I'd like to clear out some terms or nouns. So for example, here we're kind of still in the time of a word creation campaign. As you can see, we have we have virtual reality, augmented reality, and more XR and stuff like that. Some XR including VR, AR, and both MR, but some explanation for XR is extended reality. So to the best of my knowledge, the prime time of these technologies are yet to arrive. So I assume most of you are already quite familiar with these buzzwords. So I'm not going into too much detail here. If you have a question about their differences, we can discuss it in the Q&A session at the end of my presentation, okay? Anyhow, just to be clear that my topics are nothing special outside of this spectrum. Instead of using any of these buzzwords, like I said, I'm taking a more conservative route and just calling it the digital. During this route, you'll be riding with my personal adventure and explore what it's like jumping between art and science, as well as pivoting industries, okay? So one sentence I like about is this art challenges technology. Technology inspires art by John Lasseter from Pixar. I just like to share with you guys. So let's check out our meal plan for the day. Basically, the plan is in my presentation, the first half is a rough overview about the marriage of art and science. in regards to academics. I know most of you are PhD students or candidates, so I have tailored this part especially to you. And I wish this can bring you some ideas and inspirations to your research, directed study, thesis, dissertation, or whatnot. I'll also cover a little bit of pivoting between industries. And then in the second half, I'll take you a deep dive in the digital reality project as much as I can, and share you what it takes and what it means for such a project within the realm of cross-industry. I usually talk more and longer than I plan, so hopefully we have enough time to wrap things up. Okay, and I'll try to talk a little bit faster, as I just learned that we have limited time. So buckle up and let's go for a ride. Are you ready? I can't. It's my first time doing this kind of presentation in the Zoom, so I don't really can read your reactions. Yes, but I assume everybody's ready. Okay. Yeah. Usually I like to give more interactions between the talks and the audiences. So as you may already learned from the beginning, I'll quickly wrap this up. So my name is HAO. I'm working at Pinta Studios. This is a very small startup, so I'm in charge of CG production, visual effects, as well as technology development. I went to a graduate program called Visualization Texas A&M University in 2012, where I studied animation, film, computer graphics, and programming. I previously worked at Electronic Arts and Blue Sky Studios. Here are some of the video games and movies that I worked on. The place, this is also the place where I married art, science, and technology, so to speak. So it's called a visualization lab or visualization program. It's a truly interdisciplinary program where it offers cross majors between computer science, film, interactive design, and fine arts, as well as game and real-time live technology. So in this program, there are some of the academic courses and areas I have to mention that has truly formed a solid foundation for my knowledge of computer-generated imagery. The course titles are here. I know it's very vague, but I'll take you I'll go through some of the examples that what we did during the course of the study. And then give you a very rough idea of what we're learning and what we're doing in the class. So at the top three courses are digital image rendering, shading, and digital composing. So I'll bring up. Let me pull up this web page. Hopefully y'all can see my screen. So this is the digital image. No, this is not the digital image. This is the digital composing course we're taking. So basically, I'm not sure if you can tell which one is real, which one is a photo, and which one is CGI generated. So basically, we're learning how lights react in the real life. And we study the ambient, study the global illumination, refraction, reflection, iridescence, and the composition of light and color in real life, as opposed to in computer graphics. So we sort of learn the basic idea, the technology and science behind it, the mathematics behind it, and combine those two different elements together and make a believable image such that we can do some kind of crazy things. But in here, it's just a basic test that we're not really doing some visual effects or some other stuff, but it's just the way how we study the lights and the image, environment, lighting, reflection, and stuff like that. During the digital image course, we're pretty much develop our own Photoshop and turn mathematic to I believe most of you are very familiar with Photoshop, right? So in Photoshop you have filters, you have different effects for manipulating images, 2D images, or even 3D images nowadays, and curves, histogram, all that kind of stuff that everybody like the artists are take for granted because it's built in the software. But from us, we have built it from scratch, from the first line of the C++ code, and write our own Photoshop and implement all the algorithm, and then apply those effects, manipulating input images and output some kind of a tweaked images, stuff like that. Okay, and in the let's see. Okay, and I'm about to show you another picture of what we did in the rendering and shading class. I'm not sure if you can tell which one is a 2D painting and which one is a 3D generated, because in this class, we're basically learn how do we do shading, how do we do especially artistic shading, non-real photorealistic shading in computer graphics. What we are doing is basically, so this is almost 10 years ago, right? So we don't have Substance, we don't have Unreal Engine, some other real-time technology at that time. So during that time, we have only RenderMan, which is developed by Pixar, a RenderMan team. So at that time, we have to code our own shading language, and we're defining how our shading looks like, whether it's photorealistic or it's very, very artistic. So during this course, this is one of the projects. We take a 2D painting from a random artist or famous artist, whatever, and we kind of copy, like we imagine what their rendering structure or what their rendering algorithm, because artists, they don't have algorithm, they only have feeling and inspiration, but we have to turn that into mathematics and apply that algorithm into our shader, and then render it out, and then we can turn them around and change the camera, the perspective of the camera, and just like try to copy the originate style from the artist. So the answer is both of this picture are hold on, like both of the pictures are 3D rendered. I don't know if you have already discovered, but let me show you what it looks like from the original painting from this artist. It's pretty close to my best knowledge, and even we can augment it. We can extend it to even better lighting or different weather and different time of the daylight and stuff like that. So it's pretty, like it's pretty efficient once you turn that into a mathematic algorithm. See, in the painting, each artist have to draw one picture, and then it's a still. You cannot move it around, you cannot animate it. But as soon as we construct that kind of algorithm and apply to that shader and lighting, then we can have our interactive thing, and then we can put some animation in that. Okay, so that's pretty much with that backgrounds under my skin, I became completely free from hopping. Sorry, I need to yes, get back to my presentation. So with that under my skin, I become completely free from hopping in and out between different industries, almost like a CG ninja, no matter it's animation, live action, visual effects, game development, to digital reality, and even data visualization and scientific visualization. As long as it concerns drawing motion pictures with a computer. And there are two other featured courses. The second last one is it's a 10-week intensive collaborative industry course. We usually take this, we make a 30-second animation with some industry studios from Pixar, DreamWorks, Disney, and Blizzard, Industrial, and Light Magic, sometimes Weta. And then we do a project with the artists from the studio and also working with the studio. And there's a computer animation. Basically, we learn the different locomotion between a biped, which is human being, and a quadruped, which is you know, some kind of animal like horse, giraffe, and dogs, and so forth. You know, because each different species run, walk, and sometimes trot differently. So we have to study the locomotion between the differences and try to you know, make that happen in computer animation, right? So basically, I'll wrap it up with showreel, and please don't give me a hard time on that, because it's almost a decade old, and it looks very terrible from now, but it's a showreel that I put together to kind of wrap up all the courses, what we learned in the courses, and what kind of a project that we put together after we learned the course. I think there's no sound for this one, so, and the proportion is wrong. So oh, sorry. It gets stuck. Let me try to play it again.
Sure.
And is it rolling?
Yeah,
No?
it's stuck there.
Yeah, I just played it from the beginning, sorry. Okay, so like I said, please don't give me a hard time on that. I know it looked very terrible for the time being, but it's almost a decade old, and it's also the very first year I was into 3D graphics and animation. My very first year as a student. Yeah, so after that, we took kind of a research program and directed study. And there are two elements that's most importantly for my development skills, and especially understanding the magic behind it, behind the computer graphic, this is exactly where the magic happens, a magic in which mass turned into image. So one is the ray tracing engine. The title is image synthesis. So basically we have to develop our own ray tracer from scratch with C++ or CUDA or whatever you prefer, or even Python. But we basically just write it by our own. And there's another one called physics engine, which is basically physically based modeling. And you basically to model the collision detection, spring particle forces and the fluid flux, whatnot. So these two combined become an engine for all 3D graphics and rendering. Okay, so not too much details here, but I just put together a show reel to let you gain a basic understanding of what we're doing. There's some repetitive stuff I'll scrub through, but so this is the physics engine that we developed, the UI and KD tree for acceleration detection and stuff like that. And this is the 3D engine we write by ourselves. It's all ray trace based, but this is not in real time. It's running on my laptop, the very laptop I'm using for this presentation. By the way, my laptop is also 10-year-old. And this part we've already seen, so I'm just gonna scrub through and show you more about the the physics engine that I wrote. Flocking. Okay, I'm just gonna pause it because there's some other things that I want to show you. Apologies for the images that are down, but this is my personal website from many years ago, and basically this is a breakdown of what we're doing and what kind of technology we implemented and what algorithm we implemented in the rendering and in the physical engine, like cloth, rigid body and stuff. And sorry for the down images. And also I think I have some documents that I can show you with the actual images. Yeah, okay. So this is a breakdown of what we did in the physical engine. For example, the first one is a cloth model and the rigid body and black hole. Basically, it's just forces with particle and flocking and a particle system. And in the ray tracer, that the features including KD tree acceleration, multi-threading, recursive distributed ray tracing, area lighting, bump mapping, all kind of stuff that you can find in the modern renderer, whether it's GPU or it's CPU. But the basic idea is never going to change. They are just better optimized or better accelerated or with better hardware. But the idea, the math behind it is like already 40, 50 years old. It's not going to change. This is also some breakdown of the other courses that we're taking in the industry and the computer animation and the composited shot. We also did a stop motion just for side project, just for fun. Okay, so basically this is it. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking some research idea or direction, or you want to find some inspiration, let me know. I'll try to get it up online and fix the bad images, and try to get it to you so you can look at it and see how you can take advantage of it. Okay. So I'll just walk you through this show reel a little bit slower and explain what we did in this physics engine. So basically, I use Java and G4P and Prosync within the processing IDE. This is a class. So we have implemented the collision interaction with arbitrary mesh. So this is a mesh I loaded through the GUI and dynamic AABB tree for acceleration, and it's a RK4, aka Rakakuda for algorithm for the collision detection algorithm, if I'm correct. Okay. And this is a particle system that we implemented a black hole with an interactive helical practical emitter, and with some inverted gravitational force, just for creating this kind of vortex effects like that. Sometimes it's really fun. It helps you to imagine what a black hole is and what black hole does. Sometimes even it's very simple. And in this ray tracing engine, I have implemented, let me pause it. I've implemented OBJ rendering, multi-threading KD tree acceleration, recursive and distributed ray tracing, ambient occlusion, depth of field and motion blur, reflection, refraction, iridescence. And for the shader, we have Phong, Lambert, Goose shader, even some non-photorealistic shader, and area light, spotlight, point light, directional light. You can find all these kind of things in modern 3D graphics software like in Maya, Arnold, RenderMan, you name it. But don't take it for granted, because once you need to write it all, it's daunting. The process is really daunting. Okay, this part of we have already covered, so not so much. And this one is a flocking system, and it's very simple artificial intelligence, so to speak. So I have implemented the steering interaction with arbitrary mesh and food pursuit and predator avoidance. So when the little mesh is around, if you notice, and you can imagine those are fish or birds, whatever, you can swap it. But here, just for simplicity, I used a triangle, and they will pretty much chase the food if this is the food. And if I turn it to predator, then they will become avoiding that. And just for fun, I also put an inverted black hole in the scene and just see what happens, what their reaction. And then it's like this. So much fun. And as I said, in this 3D graphic engine, on the very left side, it's a physics attributes. Then you can turn gravity, elasticity, friction, wind force, air resistance. It's basically a physics engine. Velocity matching, avoidance. This is for the AI attributes, centering aggressive, whether it's aggressive or it's very, very mild, or this is, the mesh is a predator or it's a food. And on the right, it's a rendering attributes. Then I can, change the step size, model size, particle number, emit speed, and even how should I build the acceleration structure for optimization, and even the color of the particle, and what meshes are used for swapping out the particle. For example, birds, fishes, whatsoever. And particle system, collision interaction with arbitrary mesh. Sorry. Yeah. Euler integration, KD tree acceleration, and collision interaction. And I think that's pretty much it. Not sure if we seen this part. This is the locomotion study we did. I think we already see it. And this part as well. And the stop motion art. Just for fun. Okay. Moving on. And in the research thesis, there are two topics that I covered during my study time. So one is the interactive art directable reflection and caustic rendering, which is kind of hard topics that most of people want to try out and tackle them. And the other one is real-time interactive ray tracing infrastructure. So imagine 10 years ago, there's no Unreal Engine, there's no even real-time technology. We have only CUDA, and a few years ago, there's optics. So we're basically trying to make a real-time interactive renderer with code, with program. So imagine how hard that would that be. And almost 5 years later, we can see the commercial product out there in the market. But by that time, it's already existed in universities lab, in academics research. And I even play around with the hardware a little bit, and then you see the small box in the very center, not the graphics card, but the small box. That this is a key, which is a PCI box, and it connects to the graphics card board, and then connects my laptop, because my laptop doesn't have a isolated integrated, I should say, discrete GPU for rendering NVIDIA supported codes. So I have to set up my own kind of external GPU. In the middle one, this is not for research. This is for, you can tell it's MSI gaming GPU, GTX 980. So I was, during my free time, I take that and then play Hero of Storm, Dota, and Warcraft, and Diablo. And in my research lab, which is the picture on the right, this is a research GPU. It's a Quadro K5000, and then I will just swap out once I enter the lab. I'm not gonna let my professor see I'm using a gaming GPU for research. I swap out it very quickly and plug that on my laptop and doing my research, pretending doing my research in the lab, but sometimes I just play games in the lab for relaxing. All right, that's much about it. And then I just, because there are so many information there, so we can, I can talk about it all day long, maybe 3 days nonstop. So I just wrapped up a very short demo, and then you can see what the result looks like and what I did. Shoot. So I sped it up almost 10 times. So I know there are a lot of information there. So if you are interested, learn, I recommend you can check out this website, which is pretty much the breakdown of what I did and what implementations that I put into in this program. And I think I also have a, yeah, it's here. Let me put that up. I also have this breakdown of, for example, I implemented CUDA optics with C++, OpenGL, Qt, PyQt, Maya implementation, integration, and Python, even with Oculus Rift SDK. That's all the tools and the wheels that I need for this implementation. And it's pretty much like this. Okay, want to know more, just reach out to me, and I'll guide you what to look out. Okay, so last but not least, the move from video game production to Hollywood animated film industry is very exciting, at the same time adventurous. So it's not the pivoting point where I jumped from industry to it's also the pivot point where I jumped from industry to one another. But still, this is not the very key subject that we're talking about today. I know they're very different, and from one to the other is literally crossed area or anything intersected. We'll take a deep dive later on, just in a little bit. And so that's good enough for a brief coverage about the academics and the industry pivoting. So moving on, I will wrap up the first half with the trailer I did for Ferdinand. Please enjoy.
Yep, that's me. I'm Ferdinand. Ferdinand is like very big.
Holy beefaroni, you're ginormous!
More meat to love. Very strong. You ready to put those wings to work? Launch! Oh no.
You shot Maria into the sun.
Sorry. Family pet.
Who's my good boy?
Hey, I thought I was the good boy.
But if the world sees Ferdinand as one thing, a fighter.
I am here to select a bull. My hands are my instruments, as are my arms, legs, chest, and buttocks.
Nope, I'll pass, thanks. You guys go ahead. I know exactly how Ferdinand feels.
Let's go out there and give it 110%.
Woohoo! Smash him in the head!
Actually, I'm gonna pass on the violence.
This is unfair.
You finally ready to fight? Come on!
I am not a fighting bull. The movie sends a message that resonates very strongly with me. Don't judge a bull by his cover. There are places out there where you don't get pushed around for being yourself.
Hedge for one, and hog for all!
Oh, don't leave me hanging.
Everybody in!
Wait for me!
From the creators of Ice Age and Rio.
I'm getting out of this place.
He's coming down. He's coming down.
Can you just try to be a little more quiet? Shh.
Ferdinand.
The door to freedom. Just do exactly what we do. Maybe don't do exactly as we do.
So yeah, lots of good memories back to the date where Ferdinand is trying to get back to home. And the funny thing is, after I finished this show, I also went back to home, which is China, and take on another journey, which I'm going to talk about more today in the second half. So I'll touch very few questions if there's any, plus depending on how much time we do have left. So if you have any, and see if you can get connected with me. Or if there is none.
I think I can give some quick comments for the first half of your presentation. I think it's pretty good that you show your previous courses that you take, and the outcome. I think it's very important for us to kind of see the potential, how you train, the skill set, and then how the potential need from the industry that later you will talk about. So I think I really appreciate what you shared earlier.
Thank you for the comment, for the kind comment. Yeah, like I said, I tailored this part especially for you because I learned that there are so many PhD students who's trying to find a research idea and what kind of skill set that you need to begin with. So hopefully it's very helpful. And if there's more question, we have a Q&A in the end of the presentation. So I'll quickly, if there's no, then I will quickly moving on for the next part, okay? All right, to begin with this part, let's first check out a short teaser. I left us a lot of eye candies for today, so don't go anywhere, stick around. Okay, so like I said, I went back to home, and the reason being this, what we just saw is exactly the reason how I got into my current position. Without further ado, please let me introduce the place I'm working over the past 4 years. So here we go. Pinta Studio was founded in Beijing, June 2006. With more than 30 employees now. These are some major projects that we came thus far. On the slide, the first one is the Dream Collector. Don't know if everybody heard about it, but if not, I highly recommend checking it out. It's on Steam and now, and we do have some deals and discount. The second one is Shenong Taste of Illusion, which is what we are going to talk about more today in a little bit. The third one is LUO, and it's Extension Echo. It's an interactive VR and AR animation film, runs about 15 to 18 minutes, depending on how you interact with it. And I guess the Extension Echo runs a little bit longer, but still depending on how you go along with the story. Our upcoming lineups are very exciting too. The following one is a 15 episodic season animation show. As you can see, we're just wrapping it up, and it's going to be aired in no time. So stay tuned. As long as we have something, we'll post it in our social media. And we do have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and WeChat, and so forth. And I guess LinkedIn as well. Check it out by searching Pinta Studios. And currently, we are planning on something bigger, which is a feature-length animation film on the big screen called LSS Dawn of Shenong. As you can tell on the slide bottom right, we're pretty much done with the pre-production, and we're in production with this demo video for the time being. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to show you guys. But let's just wait and stay tuned. Pinta Studio is formed with the top filmmakers, storytellers, artists, and engineers within the continent of China. The core team members were professional elites from film, game, and entertainment industries. Our mission is to create heart-touching stories through whichever is the best way to tell it. And we devote ourselves to people to not only watch, but also feel and touch the characters we create, so that our audiences will feel like themselves being part of the world that we create. And this is our goal. So virtual reality, augmented reality is obviously one of our approach, and even moving on, mixed reality and extended reality. Well, so I call it digital reality. This is also the joint spot where I cross the fields and the discipline. Okay, so the field is about animation, production, versus video game development. And then the discipline is about technology of offline rendering versus real-time rendering, real-time technology, and so forth. On the left is a world premiere poster of our very first VR animation, which is a Dream Collector, featured with Christmas theme, which is saw the trailer. So we gained a basic understanding of VR. That's VR only. But what's next? How can we push the envelope to another level in digital reality field in this cross industry? The answer is a new project, obviously. So the character who's doing the work for the boat, and that's the answer. Shenong, Taste of Illusion. The project is basically a deep dive in the cross frontier, and it's a hands-on innovative experience. In the end, it turned out to be a award-winning project as well. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of the story background beforehand and why Shenong, along with the Chinese philosophy and the vision behind it. So at the first half of my presentation is very technical, very kind of boring stuff. But the second half, I'll give you guys a lot of high-end, good looking pictures, concept art, and artistic side, and it's especially the combination of art and science and technology. All right. So to begin with, so why Chinese philosophy and vision? So to begin with, it involved heavily with Chinese mythology. Chinese mythology can be dated back to the period before Qin and the Han dynasties. It describes the relationship between human and nature, the animism and the mythological religion. The characters in the myths are always god or demigod with the unusual appearance and supreme power. And the stories are always occurred in the time, space, which beyond imagination. Shenong, who is the mythical sage ruler of prehistoric China, the god king of Chinese medicine and agriculture, who tests 100 varieties of herbs with his holy red whip, tastes them all, encounters 70 poisons in one day, learns the properties of all plants, and finally catalogs of 365 species of medicinal plants into a book. The book's name is Shenong's Classic of Herb Medicine. It's also called Shenong Baicao in Chinese. According to the mythological record, Shenong has the head of a bull and the body of a man. So that's how we designed the character based off of. We wanted to explore a better way to tell or let people experience a story for a proper definition, how we can take advantage of telling a story in virtual reality or digital reality, so to speak. That's our thoughts after our very first story, the Dream Collector. With this question in our mind, we designed to find out with Shenong. In addition to that, one of our main goal and the reason to make this shot is that we need to push the graphics limit of virtual reality in real time with game engine. And this is exactly where art and science crossed, in addition to CG animation, film, visual effects, real-time technology, and game development intersected. At the end of the day, we want to see how far it goes with current limitation from all aspects, whether it's technology or whether it's our own skills and backgrounds. So how we did it, there's a big question for that. So first of all, let me break down by three main aspects. First of all, it's a very innovative development from ground up, and also it's a pretty ambitious target. It took us a lot of work, but I say it worth it. So first of all, cinematic visual effects. In order to push the boundary of visual effects fidelity, there are lots of cinematic visual effects involved. For example, Shenong's hair and skirt. So keep that in mind. I know Unreal Engine evolved very quickly. It can do some very crazy stuff nowadays, but this is our, couple years ago, and we don't have those technologies built in Unreal Engine. So it's pretty hard to do this kind of things. And we've done the physics simulation with some real-time technologies. Other examples like fluid and volumetric cloud simulation. As far as I know, even nowadays, Unreal Engine cannot, out of the box doing cloud or volumetric stuff, especially with dynamic lighting. And it's even harder for us doing this kind of thing back in 2007. It's crazy. I have to write my own kind of physics and rendering engine inside of the render. It's like a built-in render inside of the renderer, and physics attribute and stuff like that. It's truly funny. And this is some other effects design that we have to come up with our own solution and trying to, make that happen in the real-time 3D graphics in our show. And there comes pipeline, okay? 3D production pipeline. This is a example of what conventional offline CGI pipeline looks like. And this is not my image. You can search it online. I think it's very popular. Everybody see this before. So we cannot use it. It's very streamlined. It's very linear, but we just simply cannot use it. So we've come up with our own solution with a hybrid pipeline. We rebuilt the production pipeline completely such that we could combine both conventional CG film production and game development, as well as taking advantage of real-time graphics technology. We call it hybrid pipeline internally. It's our in-house proprietary pipeline. So this is our plan. This is what we're trying to do. In reality, during the development, this is what happens. This is why we're tangling ourselves around, during the development. You don't need to know the details because I can talk about it for another week. And this is what we ended up being, to the best of my ability to make it clean and streamlined as much as possible, even though it looks like a completely mess and a spider web whatsoever. So not much detail for that boring stuff, but it's very good research direction that you can take advantage of. So I've open sourced all my development for this pipeline and all that kind of stuff. If you want to learn more, take a picture, take a screenshot for the link, or you can directly subscribe my WeChat channel, and then there are informations in the WeChat newsfeed. Search for the old history newsfeed, and then you'll find more information about it. Okay, so that'll be it for the pipeline. In terms of animation design, action and stunt design, I have to mention that we took quite a lot of references from Chinese martial art, and this is very simple, basic animation test during our development or the creation process, but it's very common in the animation area. Okay, and this is the facial expression setup. We've also turned the elements of the Kung Fu and the performance of Chinese drama to make the whole fight scene more interesting. Now the villain, okay? What's the animal, aka the villain, in the film, and what's so special about it? The mythical animal in the show called Lang Dan Yao Shou. Yao Shou means boogie beast in Chinese, and Lang Dan is the name of the glamorous plant that Shen Nong swallowed with its petal in the film. It's a cold poisonous herb, but also Shen Nong's enemy in the project. So we combined the Chinese lion dance and kite elements with its design. I can totally understand if people have no ideas. Maybe most of you have not seen this before, but if it happens to someone who's watched this show, so I can totally understand if they have no idea what is going on with the man who has a pair of ox horn, eating random plants, and then fighting a beast with a lion head and kite tail. People will totally get out of it without the background, especially for non-Asian or non-Chinese audience. So I'm gonna walk you through some main things here real quick. Spoilers warning here, so please mute me if you are afraid of me taking the mystery out of it. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds if you want me to mute on me, and then save the mysterious for the original experience. Okay, so I guess it's about time. Sorry for the Chinese letter here, since it's really hard for me to find the right interpretation for each things. And then they're pretty much mostly made up names. So I'll just describe what's happening there respectively. In ancient times, Shenong explores the deep forest in the valley to collect unknown plants with unique tastes and effects. A glamorous flower seduces Shenong, and he is poisoned by tasting the petal. Shenong falls into illusion, and as the flower turns into a mythical boogie beast, which tortured him to his last breath. In the despairing darkness, Shenong is revived by a secret friend. Okay, we have not revealed any of the secret friend in our show. If you want to find out, just watch the piece. With the awakening superpower, he conquers the beast, breaks the illusion, and acquires another valuable plant, learns the property of the plant, and turn it to herb, medicine herb. And finally, Shenong back to the real world and continues his journey. That's basically what I have with Shenong. Let me wrap it up with a behind scene VCR, and here we go.
这一次呢，我们平塔团队想从中国的传统文化中提取更多养分，努力的去把这种传统的东西赋予它更年轻、更新的生命力。在视觉上面做到了大比例的对比，一些很中国的元素，无论是它的颜色、构图，用了更多的剪辑，而且是适用于 VR 的剪辑的手段，比如场景的切换，比如说一些空间的位移，来达到了更有沉浸感的效果。
在猎山市中，我们采用了影视级别基于物理的动力学模拟，应用到了布料解算，比如Shenong的裙子、头发。同时，我们也模拟了部分流体动力学特效，比如水、火、烟雾。到目前为止，这其中的任何一项在 VR 影视作品当中都是少见的。而在猎山市中，我们同时做到了多项技术应用与技术上的突破。All right, that's all I have for Shenong, and it's a truly an incredible journey jumping in cross genre. Okay, so yeah, I'll just give a quick introduction of our following project, which is LUO, featured with 2019 Tribeca Virtual Arcade nomination. And here we go with a trailer. Just for the record, so some of you may have already aware that it's very low quality, it's even low polygon, and even without anti-aliasing, it's because this footage we captured is running in real time on the phone. Okay, so this project is targeting on the mobile devices only, and you can also watch it on the PC, but this is designed and developed for mobile as a target. So that's why we have very limited budget for and the computing power, and then for the texture, material, lighting, etc. And there's only so much we can do with the computing power with that budget. So the trailer you were just watching is actually captured in real time without any fancy visual effects, dynamic lighting, physics, and so forth. Even there's no anti-alias. You can tell it's very zigzag aliased, but that's running on a phone in real time. Oh, and it's actually on iPhone already. If you type LUO, then you will see it, and I think it's the first AR genre, AR animation genre ever sold on the Apple Store. So that's why Apple is very kind to us. They already put us on the headline for Lunar Chinese New Year Festival special as a promotion. And a background story to kind of for the marketing. Yeah, just search it. It's on the iPhone. Okay, and a little bit of film festival experience I like to share. So to be selected and nominated by a number of reputable and well-known film festival is such an honor. Secondly, it was really fantastic to be able to showcase our work to the world in such a way that people can appreciate it with their professionalism and giving us a great example and a great advice of their sound knowledge and experiences. We would definitely do it again nonstop. So lastly, it was awesome seeing other people's work. So this is a picture that I was with the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, and this is the backstage at where he announced the RTX graphics card for ray tracing ever in 2018, I guess. It was such a game-changing event, and I was so happy there to witness the history of graphics, 3D graphics, computer graphics, whatsoever. So lastly, it's really awesome sharing this kind of visions within the new medium. In this new field, it's just like ours, exchanging ideas and discussing different problems was so much fun. So I highly recommend everybody attend these venues around the world. They will give you a lot of inspirations, a lot of insights of professional research idea, thesis ideas, thesis topics. You will see what people are doing around the world. Okay. Well, so now I'm not recommending you go around traveling global during the COVID-19 pandemic period, but once the quarantine is over, just go ahead and check out what it's like out there. Okay, so it's really also my honor to talk about what we did in VR and with Jensen Huang, and I also talk about the please come visit China and maybe having another venue. Showing what it can be powering for the VR industry, for the digital reality industry, to kind of, it's a fun conversation with him, talking about what kind of ideas we can bring to the graphics card. But mostly, I'm kind of worshiping him during that conversation. All right. So I got pretty nervous talking to him, but he's a very nice guy. So I'm gonna wrap up my presentation with a studio demo. That's gonna concluding my talk today. Okay, that's pretty much it. And just for the record, the video, all the clips that you are seeing in this demo is rendered with real-time technology. Okay, we do not have any CPU renderer in the house. We do not use Arnold. We do not use RenderMan or any CPU renderer, offline renderer. Okay, all of them are rendered in real time with real-time technology. Whether it's Unity, Unreal Engine, or Octane, or other GPU renderer, and even Blender. That's how we do things in our studio, and that's basically it. So if you want to reach out to me, and also if you're interested in Pinta Studio or even want to join us and want to find out what we are doing, what's our next move, just subscribe to the WeChat channel, and on the top is my personal email address. So if you have questions, you just want to talk to me, and just send me email. Last, this is my personal independent WeChat channel, and basically I'm uploading some research or some other related stuff on the channel, actually we hosted a very unique online industry event the past month, and I invited all of my friends all around the world, whether they are in Facebook, Google, Apple. They're doing virtual reality, they're doing visual effects or animation, gaming, and Pixar movie, Blue Sky movie, Disney, all sort of things. Okay, we're talking about this, and we upload the event. If you subscribe it, and you can find the link to the course. We have the recording, we have documents like the breakdown of how they're doing things. They have a lot of good stuff. You can check it out, and that's pretty much I have. Thank you for having me for the talk, and if you have any question, I'll try to answer all of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Luo Hao. It's very excellent talk, and I think it's perfectly matched with the title of the talk today. Really appreciated your share, and especially when you talk about the Pinta Studio the projects from pre-production to production. You also did a very good job. I kind of crossed the different skill sets when you're presenting the storyboard. Is perfect example for students as well. So I think now it's good for opening the Q&A.
Okay, yeah. I want to say something. Okay, first, thanks for the talk. So I'm Professor Huang Mingqiu. I taught computer graphics 4 times, though I'm not do computer graphics. So I think it's at 2020, so actually 2007, and our HQST computer science department, they published more than 10 computer, SIGGRAPH Asia. So that time we have a lot of students heavily work on this. And then later I see the computer graphics seems go down for a while. And even like UNC, Chapman Hill, they do, their computer graphics is very strong, they're meaning. And they told me, even he gave a suggestion to their students. He said, okay, don't go to this kind of movie studio, special effects company. The job is not stable. Maybe 3 years, you only work on 1 movie, and then next 3 years have nothing to do. And so if you go to Google, be a software engineer, the pay is much better and more stable. And I found, okay, really some kind of special effects company do this kind of 3D animation is acquired by China company, right? Like, I don't know, the name is a Pacific PCA, not PCA, whatever. Yeah, so.
PDI?
PDI, yeah, something like that, right? It's acquired by mainland China company, right?
Maybe not, because PDI shut down in 2015. It's a part of DreamWorks Research Studio, and later on it turned to a production studio and grow to 5 to 1,000 people, 500 to 1,000, but shut down. Yeah.
Okay. Then 2 years ago, there is called Golden, is called Avatar in China. He actually worked with Cameron on this kind of Avatar movie. So Avatar 3 to 5, he do here. He have a talk with some collaboration with us. He also mentioned about this kind of VR stuff, but it seems his main interest is on this kind of interaction. He said, okay, now the movie is wholly immersed. And if you have some kind of interaction in the future, then you can do shopping, do all this kind of social media components there. Then in the movie theater, you can actually also have all this kind of, you can do this kind of, e-commerce and social media and the comments. So then it's just how to do the interaction in this kind of movie. So for your VR film, right? So this one is not just like a 3D film. You can really work around, right? Or it's just the 3D movie?
Yeah. It's pretty much like a video game, so to speak. But it's not actual video game that you are not the director. Okay, in video game, you're the director. You decide whether you are killing a people or you are helping a people, or whatnot. In our movie, you lost that control. Being a director, you are just purely audience. But as an audience, you're basically follow. I don't know if you have ever heard about Sleep No More, the show in New York. It's pretty much like you are following the actor, and you can explore what you are going to see, but you cannot decide how the interaction, how the story goes. You can choose which route, which storyline you are going with. And in our projects, we tried, like each project, we try to add more interaction for the audience, just because we want not only the audience to see what our director planned for them, we want the audience to be part of the story, which is like, no, you are not the third person, you're not, the God view of the story. You are inside of the story and you're part of it, and you can trigger some small things, especially like our character when they talk or when they doing their own stuff, but you can trigger them to look at you and like almost like they're speaking to you, and you will feel like, okay, I got something different, because you have eye contact. Once you have eye contact, it's like, it's different. You are not a ghost anymore, you are actually there. Okay, so that's a special kind of thing that we're trying to play around. But just to answer your question, it's not a game, but it's a game that you lost the control. You just sit there, relax, and watch what we have planned, what kind of surprise for you.
Okay, I see. So then, okay, you mentioned about the challenge for the rendering, right? So because
Yes.
kind of a typical thing, actually, I once talked to a Disney, animation studio, and they do this kind. The scientists there. I said whether you follow SIGGRAPH. He said no. Those the researchers there. The work environment totally different. For example, they publish paper. They just have one single workstation, and they feel the problem very hard for them to how to get this kind of effect. For us, it's not challenge at all. We have 1,000 servers, 100. This is the 美工, right? So then once we threw in this kind of server 美工, all the problem the professor feel hard, for us is easy. Okay, so
yeah, right.
Yeah, that is his comments. So I just want to understand, you talk about this kind of rendering is a very challenge, but if it's just a typical 3D movie, right? It's just from this one angle, all this kind of animation particle system is seems already very well developed, right? It's a challenge just because it's VR, you look from different angle, or what is the challenge there?
Okay, so first of all, the challenge is there's no established pipeline for that. That's the very first challenge, because there's a pipeline for game development. They have like source code version control tools. There's also a pipeline, whether it's F-Track, it's Shotgun, or CG Teamwork in China, for conventional visual effects project and animation project, and so forth. It's sound, it's established, and once you hit a problem, you hit trouble, you can ask around, you can search for it. There's thousands of solutions for them, and it's easy for you to establish or just to take a existence and apply it to your working environment. Then same to game development, but this is a combination exactly where, like I said, where the cross the industry stuff happened here. And it's like you cannot use conventional for game development, you cannot use game development for conventional CG project. Then how do you bridge this the gap? How can you stitch the gap together? So you have to come up with your own idea. And during this time, you will find out that there are so many problems with conventional pipeline because it's so heavy. This is a short. I don't need to make a feature-length movie. I'm only making short. And if you take such a heavy pipeline, well, it take like a year for people to just get on track. Okay, it's not for a small studio and for a small project. We need the action quickly and swiftly to tackle things, to get things rolling very quickly, with limited time budget and other budget, power budget and stuff like that. And if you are doing game development, you take it here and then it's not a game. You're not developing game. You need to, like, you have a director there, right? You need to see, like, the director have to watch it over and over again from all different angles. It's so different from a fixed camera, and especially in real time. Okay, so how do you come up with a good solution for the director to look around, just like they're playing, they're scrubbing the mouse with a player? Player is easy. It's rendered. It's pre-baked, right? You can just scrub it through. But if it's a game, if it's a real-time render thing, what player? The question is what player you are using. If you are render them out and give it to director will say, this is not, I cannot change the angle of the camera. How can I change it? What do I know my audience will see from a different angle? So they have to review it in real time. But there's no real-time player. Okay. You cannot look at it. You have to develop your own. You have to figure out your own solution to tackle these problems. And especially in game engine, they don't have a timeline. They have a tick. They have a it's very different algorithm and timeline. So how can you play it back? How can you go into reverse? If you go reverse, what happens with your real-time physics? Everything will get messed up. Okay. Because there's no baked thing, and if another challenge for director is if I play this time from this angle, from every angle I've checked, but it's not the same time. Different time, well, we will get different result because it's not pre-baked. Okay, it's really hard for art directable real-time physics and the particle system and visual effects. Each time they play differently. They got random seeds, random speed, a random spawning rate. Everything's random, just like in game, right? If you are in a game, this thing happens every time exactly the same. People will think it's not believable. I'm not in real life, in a real world. In real world, every time I saw, the cloud, I saw the water, I saw the water splash. Every time, even I try to do it like exactly with same pose, same gesture, I will get a different result. Okay. So how do you balance between different result and exactly same result in game engine for a director? That's something you have to keep in mind. Okay, so that's one main part. Another one you've mentioned that just because there are so many angles, so it requires like if one camera needs only one set of object and modeling budget, just modeling. I don't not even mention animation and other stuff. Just take modeling as an example. I don't need to care what behind the box in a film, but I have to make something behind if it's in real time, real world, because the audience will go back and see, okay, I found a bug, there's nothing here, it's black or it's broken, they will try to break it. So that's one thing. Another thing you have to think about, not twice but 360 times. Okay. Yeah, so same applies to animation, visual effects, and all other departments down the line.
Okay, got it. So besides this kind of rendering part for this kind of story generation of this VR movie, is there anything different from the traditional movie? You mentioned, okay, just like game, but I cannot control, but I can look from different angle, right? I can basically go back, something like that. But okay, still no real interaction, right?
Yeah, minor or hidden interaction, but not, like objective interaction, because you are not the director, and we don't want the audience feel like they are playing a game rather than watching a movie, even it's real time on 360.
Yeah, because I think some of our PhD students really interested in this kind of interactive storytelling. And yes. Last time when the Qiu Shaojie is here, we asked them what is comments on this interactive movie. He said if a movie is a movie, if interactive, then it become a game. So we see whether there are anything just in the between. It's not a totally game, it's also not a totally movie, but it still allows some kind of interactive storytelling.
So yeah, this is like in our very first project, we think it's a movie. We think it's an interactive movie. Then we kind of like try to find, something that we can learn from, we can mimic. Because if you just like try to be innovative, you cannot create things out of nowhere. You have to take references. So in the beginning, we just kind of like treat it as, in the Dream Collector, it's a very narrative project. There's no intense action or moving around, stuff like that. It's very calm and peace storytelling experience. You really don't need to move around, but if you want to move around, it's fine. So in that project, we're trying to find, okay, what we can do with VR as a media telling a story, how differently it is compared to a movie. And then slowly we're picking up this kind of a trend, and we're gaining more experience. Then we become more confident that movie is a movie. To answer your question, game is a game, but VR is a completely different genre. We have to design this genre specifically for movie, for VR or virtual reality. We call it immersive experience. Okay. So at the beginning of my presentation, I said this is the era or the time of world creation. We kind of create a lot of world, but there's no thing that's like accepted by everyone. Maybe VR is more popular, AR is more popular, but the understanding for each one is different. There are a lot of fake VR and fake AR stuff. For example, TikTok, short videos, and they call it VR by putting some rabbit ear on your face and following moving around. But that's not VR. That's head-up display, or this is overlay, right? It's not immersive. It's not it's interactive, but it's not immersive. It's not stereo.
Okay.
So our understanding of virtual reality or extended reality is very, very strict to the fully immersive experience. You have to get 2-eye stereo. You have to get 3D, 360 angles. You have to get all kind of immersive stuff in it. But it's not. We do not accept fake head-up display or overlay stuff as a VR or AR. So in the end of the day, we kind of learned or pick up our own confidence that this is an immersive experience or drama, so to speak. But we don't want to take any existence genre as and fit it to this shoe, because they're different. Game is a game, VR is VR, film is film. We're doing our own stuff here. So now I'm calling it the digital reality.
I think this actually opened door for many possibilities, right? In the past, just a book is a book. Then you have to read it, whatever. But after the digital book, then you open the door. For example, many people just read the book. Then they like Amazon, reader, you can highlight. Then you open page. This sentence highlighted by 200 people. Just you have this kind of VR movie. People like from different angle to look at it. If you record all this kind of data, like 10,000 people look at the movie, then they explore by themselves. Then 5,000 look from this angle. Then they found this angle even better than editor. That's the director's angle. Then they actually form. From bottom up cluster, you form another streamline. This is just like a crowdsourcing. This is a director's version. And based on how they explore this kind of movie, right?
Exactly. And well, as you mentioned, the digital book is like a more extended version or a upgraded version of paperwork. But then as you go along the way, there become like completely different experience and genre. For example, audiobook. And now we even have an immersive VR book in the virtual reality. You can read it, and then you jump in the book, you become one of the character. You can interact with all these kind of things. It's just an example that I'm talking about. Is they're kind of merging and they're having their own chemistry going on, and then all in the sudden one day you will find out this is something completely new, and it become a genre that different from a conventional film or book or whatever, but it's just itself and becoming wide accepted genre that with a lot of audiences.
This I think is really exciting. I once reviewed a Sigma paper said that if you look at this Wikipedia page, right? If they mention some kind of building, whatever, cathedral, then they can immediately, whatever, just search on the web, got thousands of this kind of cathedral image. Then they build a 3D model. Then you said from this front door with cathedral. Then you just highlight. Then really 3D model come out. Then you see the front, door of this cathedral, what it looks like, right? If this kind of VR movie in the past, in the future, and if you go here, for example, there's some kind of sub-storyline related to Roman history. If you already know that very well, you can skip, but if you want to explore, then it's possible that you do explore. That means you can go, a path, then you just go back, right? Actually, we do this kind of storytelling, we call this kind of tour guide model. Tour guide model is just a tourist, right? Your tour guide bring you from one side to another side, but for each location, allow you to explore by yourself for a while. That means, this big, things, they just follow the fixed order. But at each specific, thing, give you some flexibility you can explore. That may add some kind of interactions to the storytelling. User can explore by itself. And more things go to this way, like this kind of, you go to New York Times in the past, they just show you one data visualization, one figure. But now their interaction, whatever the data is real, they provide this kind of tool you can explore by yourself. Then provide this layer of flexibility.
That's right. And put storytelling or narrative experience aside. And for example, I just saw a short video maybe yesterday or a couple of days ago that for example, the holodeck or the the collaborative virtual reality plus augmented reality collaborative work and a workshop studio like that become like really really just easy to get on. And then I think it's Microsoft Mesh and NVIDIA Universe, NVIDIA Omniverse, stuff like that, that you can bring people from different media. They're it's not storytelling stuff, but then it's an augmented experience that you can actually put it in the actual job and your daily work, stuff like that. It's quite amazing. But you can still you can take the media and do your storytelling thing. Why not? Because it's like a parallel universe.
Okay.
You can explore. You can use whatever you want with it, right?
Yeah, I think the Zhen Yang raised his hand, so I leave the other. Give other students the opportunity. But thanks very much for the talk. It's really interesting.
Thank you even more for the comments and discussion.
Yeah, Kenny.
Hi, HAO. Thank you very much for the talk. Very interesting, very engaging as well. I'm actually an Unreal Engine kind of user, but I'm having this rule of what I've been practicing is, do things as a solo artist. So that's why I'm really interested in your pipeline, the pipeline of you doing things. I got actually two questions, but maybe it's just as simple as one. First one is, do you think it is even kind of feasible, like for one guy, because like trying to do all the rendering and maybe designing the program and trying to finish off. I do have like existing project like working, but I got a feeling this thing is actually getting out of hands, so it's kind of pretty frustrating sort of process. Do you think this is even feasible? Or my second question would be, what suggestion do you want to make to maybe the solo artists, like, or at least trying to having a minimal sort of team to complete animation?
Okay. Well, so to answer your first question, my answer is possible. I'm sending a link to the chat box, and if you have time, check it out. And it's basically the background story of how I developed the pipeline. Okay, so I sort of have coming from a art background, and so I'm also doing pretty much a lot of artistic job and technical art job while I was working in the gaming company and visual effects animation company. But then when I come back to China, I found out one thing that's really shocking is people don't use pipeline, especially in small studio. There's only one studio that I know use a very sound pipeline is Light Chaser Animation Studio, which is Zhuiguang. And they're doing that is because their boss take a tour to North America. He went to all the Hollywood film industry studio, animation studio, and he brought back my Shishong Han Lei, and I think Han Lei has a very important effect in pushing the building of pipeline and all that kind of stuff. And also Gary, the boss of Zhuiguang, is also like learned a lot of the pipeline, the industry, the movie industry, what it looks like. It's not like building a wood ship, but rather it's an aircraft carrier sort of thing. So you have to be very professional, be very like specific on building this kind of stuff, because this is a ground. And if you want to make a project quickly down the road, you want to have less trouble. You want to have less conflict, arguing between artists and different standards. You better have a pipeline. And for a independent artist or creator like you, I would say if you are interested in this kind of thing, you can do it alone, because I did it by myself, to be honest. And so not because I have the technical background, not because I'm a pipeline TD, but because I cannot work without it. You know, I was trained, I was educated within that ground, within that environment from day one. So, and also I have professional experiences, even with a better developed, well-rounded, established pipeline. Come back here without it, I just cannot do my job, because I'm like wiping everybody's asses all day. I cannot focus on creativity. I cannot focus on the art, the visual, and all the rest of the stuff. So if you really have interest, or you really think this is a good idea, take a look and get some idea of what it takes. And especially my advice for you is, to answer your second question, is do not try to reinvent the wheel by yourself. Take whatever is already out there and put them together, stitch them together. As long as it works, then you will have a sound pipeline for yourself. Okay, so that's my even more professional advice. But for a fine artist, for a pure creator, my suggestion is, if you worked only by yourself, you might already have your own pipeline in your head. You don't need to argue a different standard, because you just you for example, 10 years later, you have to have your own specific structure system to work, or how do you get your job done efficiently, right? So I know it's daunting, but it's really worth to take the time in the beginning to set up your own, for example, if you're developing the look, the appearance, or the art style, if you have a Bible, then it helps you clear out your heads even better, because you are the creator. Sometimes you get a inspiration out of nowhere, and you want to try it out, and then you suddenly get apart from your original idea, which is, I wouldn't say it's not good, but sometimes you already have, if you have a Bible, then you will stick with your plan and finish the job, and then maybe you can try your experimentation next time instead of this one. So that's an example of having a standard, having a system that works on day one. Then you will have less trouble. You will not get lost easily, because you always have a guidance. Even you are the creator, but it's a good idea to have a guidance, to have someone point you to the right direction when you get lost, when you get a crazy idea of experimental new art, but sometimes it's not good. So that's my idea. From my cross the backgrounds, I speak both language, whether it's artistic or whether it's technical. My understanding is I always play the interpreter or the translator between art and the engineer. But if you want to be a really cool artist, then maybe have a both, like a little bit of both of artistic and technical background, and then focus on your creativity. And that's my advice. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much. I think that's I find that advice very related. I think yeah, thank you very much for it. I will definitely check the article that you sent. Yeah, I think,
no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I also strongly agree with what you mentioned, the very important point about the pipeline. I'm also very interested about the main difference, like the pipeline between the how you work on your projects and the more traditional way in the conventional filmmaking. Like Professor Chi also mentioned, what he talked about is digital domain. So I also know it very well. I worked there, and I actually, during the process of they buying got bought from actually a Hong Kong company later, after the China company that also got in a kind of a lot of trouble at that time. So I think we can talk about it.
I can tell. I know.
Okay, I think it's great talk. I definitely will ask you more questions about some specifically about the pipeline and some like differences about like pre-production in the virtual reality films. But because we do have like a limited time, and I highly encourage everyone in the talk today, if you have further questions, feel free to contact Mr. Luo Hao for the further questions. If you forgot the screenshot, you can contact me. I can share you the email address.
No, it's okay. I can share it again. Let me see. Where is it? Or maybe not. I'm lying. Sorry, I couldn't find it. I think I closed it up.
One more thing, when you mentioned the light tracing, I also know the Yuzhou. I know like they're probably the first company like hiring more like people graduated from United States. I was studying also in the United States. The boss also can visit some university, including our university as well. So I know like his tour that you mentioned. So I think it's like they're pretty much the still I don't know, but one of the very few companies, animation companies, like highly stick with the pipeline, the production, and kind of the professional producer system.
Yeah, like they're kind of the pioneer of like in China, like very serious about their pipeline and the industrial standards of Hollywood. Before that, it's mostly like personal run shop. They all the artists, they have this kind of habit of doing things randomly or just like how they enjoy doing things. But when you're in a group, when you're doing this kind of things collaboratively, you have to keep that in mind all the time. And if not, then you have to have a very solid pipeline to tackle those problems, or otherwise you will be just get buried in cleaning assets for yourself or for even other people. It's not fun. You just want to focus on creativity and focus on art and visuals, and that's what we do. So why don't take the time, invest it a little bit, and then you will be like your artistic life will be much easier down the road. So yeah, and to add to your comment, so yeah, I saw the thank you for the comment. This is my email, luohao@pintastudios.com. And if you missed the screenshot, and then I hope Jake will share it to other people, spread it out, because there are some very useful information from my friends around the globe. They share their experiences during their video VCR. So checking it out, it's worth the time.
Okay, thank you very much for the talk today. I really enjoyed the talk. So thank you everyone for joining the talk as well. So have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace out. Bye-bye.